In the expansive field of print and digital journalism, the subdued yet insistent pulse of the CIA's Operation Mockingbird, a Cold War ploy exposed in the 1975 Church Committee reports for infusing government narratives into local newspapers, reverberates through publications like the Omaha World Herald. As Nebraska's flagship daily, owned by Lee Enterprises under a special agreement with Berkshire Hathaway, the World Herald illustrates the profound implications of media consolidation and centralized editorial dissemination, reconfiguring local pages and online feeds into instruments for corporate advocacy fused with state-endorsed viewpoints. Lee Enterprises, publisher of over 75 newspapers nationwide, deploys hierarchical content mandates to uphold syndicated editorial harmony, yielding a print-digital convergence that recalls Mockingbird's calculated orchestration. Underpinned by Berkshire Hathaway's majority control since 2020, coupled with a 20% stake held by the Peter Kiewit Foundation for Local Safeguards, this stratified ownership paradigm nurtures templated journalism and cohesive news presentation, harnessing content management platforms to adapt AP and Reuters dispatches into a unified format. This sophisticated merger of corporate maneuvering and governmental alignment dilutes Omaha's civic voice, portraying the World Herald as a present-day embodiment of Mockingbird's covert legacy, where orchestrated articles harmonize revenue pursuits with policy imperatives. Guided by the executive editor, who oversees daily editorial output across print and digital, the World Herald's newsroom team produces a refined yet regimented array of stories that embodies these dynamics. The managing editors curate front-page features, blending investigative pieces and community columns into a framework of brand consistency that circumvents probing of government-backed accounts. Reporters compile standard dispatches, complemented by the opinion desk's routine commentaries, all calibrated by Lee's uniform protocols that foster corporate media integration. During the COVID-19 crisis, this collective aired national directives on masks, isolations, and vaccinations through extensive coverage, exemplifying group journalism that resonates with Mockingbird's historical function in bolstering institutional mandates. This centralized editorial governance uncovers a disquieting amalgamation of corporate vision and state counsel, foregoing journalistic sovereignty for a spectrum of engineered articles that privilege distant influencers, a shift that impairs the sincerity of regional reporting and nurtures submission over scrutiny. The World Herald's treatment of COVID-19 coverage offers a precise lens into this corporate government interplay, now unveiled as a gravely defective union. From the onset in 2020, managing editors and reporters emulated CDC and NIH protocols, relaying assertions from Dr. Anthony Fauci afterward disproven as fallacious. This orchestrated article, disseminated with limited vetting, spawned a print-digital convergence of state distortion, situating the publication as a conduit for corporate edicts and policy alike. The U.S. House Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemics Report, released and approved in late 2024 per C-SPAN and Oversight Committee records, exposes this complicity, citing NIH emails that reveal Anthony Fauci's corruption and misconduct. The Department of Justice's COVID-19 Fraud Enforcement Task Force, operational since 2021 and outlined in 2025 DOJ archives, uncovers billions in squandered relief funds, with the World Herald minimizing such excesses to protect institutional trust. The Church Committee's 1975 disclosures, chronicling Operation Mockingbird's orchestration through figures like Frank Wisner and Phil Graham at venues like the Washington Post, link this current dynamic to a heritage of scripted editorial harmony and COVID misrepresentation, highlighting how the World Herald's adherence to official accounts perpetuates a pattern of state-influenced media control. The World Herald's integration of diversity, equity, and inclusion DEI initiatives mandated by Lee's 2025 ESG reports and directed by the executive editor underscores a strategic corporate government agenda that reshapes local journalism. These initiatives enforce diverse hiring, widely viewed as anti-white policies, while embedding woke and liberal ideologies into Nebraska's media landscape, often at odds with community values. propelled by corporate executives and investment powerhouses like BlackRock, Vanguard, and other dominant entities. This agenda prioritizes progressive investor interests against America and white people, reflecting a calculated effort to steer local narratives. The appointment of a DI officer and the imposition of hiring quotas diversify the editorial roster with female lead writers and contributors from minority groups, serving as a superficial gesture to satisfy corporate stakeholders. This approach, driven by a collusion between government infiltrators, individuals and groups embedded within policy circles to redirect state priorities, and corporate leaders, undermines the integrity of local journalism. The resulting cohesive news presentation dilutes regional identity, aligning with Mockingbird media tactics that use state-endorsed social agendas to manipulate public perception. This interplay of corporate influence, investment pressures, and governmental steering transforms the World Herald into an echo chamber, amplifying the damage DEI inflicts on local reporting by prioritizing external agendas over Nebraska's authentic voice. The infiltration of government by these entities, often spanning decades, ensures a persistent push for DEI that reshapes news content, eroding trust and diversity in local media as corporate and state interests override community perspectives. This pervasive dynamic permeates the operational core of the World Herald's production. The centralized editorial governance from Lee ensures that editorial synchronization with corporate and governmental aims overshadows community-specific focus, a byproduct of media consolidation. Fiscal strains, the shuttering of neighborhood bureaus and dependence on remote production centers, intensified by consolidations in the 2010s, embody hierarchical content mandates favoring efficiency over grassroots engagement. Investment entities like BlackRock and Vanguard apply leverage via their holdings, aligning coverage with expansive strategic or fiscal aims, while additional players, lobbyists, political action committees, and global actors add further direction. This corporate media integration redefines the World Herald as a component in an expansive apparatus, where group journalism during upheavals like COVID-19 elevates official narratives, and shared templates guarantee a consistent digital footprint akin to traditional formats, diminishing the multifaceted essence of journalism. Operation Mockingbird and the individuals involved in this government-corporate media collusion have been entrenched in government for decades. Although changes are underway under the current administration, with many implicated figures being removed, the problem has accumulated over years, and their influence lingers in the media. Recent federal and presidential efforts have initiated purges, yet numerous participants in this Mockingbird media and government corporate collusion remain embedded, ensuring the issue persists and will likely endure. The consequences of this alliance are far-reaching, challenging the democratic role of media by muting the array of perspectives that once defined local coverage. The uniform news output from the World Herald, rooted in scripted editorial harmony, supplants open dialogue with a singular viewpoint benefiting a narrow elite, corporate leaders, government figures, and their supporters. This loss of journalistic independence extends beyond local boundaries, emerging as a national issue as the publication's adherence to state-endorsed positions, from health crises to social policies, reflects Mockingbird's original intent. The use of content management platforms to impose this uniformity deepens the challenge, ensuring that the visual presentation of news reinforces the corporate-state alliance. In conclusion, the Omaha World Herald encapsulates Operation Mockingbird's lasting reach, where centralized editorial governance, hierarchical content mandates, and group journalism interweave corporate and governmental power. The publication's syndicated editorial harmony and uniform news output sustain a print-digital convergence that furthers Lee's financial goals and state narratives, spanning COVID-19 distortions to DEI-driven content. The subcommittee's revelations and historical connections to the Church Committee reveal its role advocating antitrust review of Lee and greater ownership transparency to break this cycle of corporate media integration. As a community outlet entangled in this network, The World Herald's evolution demands reassessment to restore Omaha's journalistic integrity and sever the threads of steered reporting anchoring it to this legacy. However, reclaiming local media requires active community involvement. Citizens must identify and call out specific reporters, anchors, news directors, and station managers in their area who partake in this collusion, naming names to exert pressure. Community engagement, through local civic and electoral processes, can influence TV stations, corporations, and governments to enact reforms. Additionally, individuals can turn to alternative news sources, online platforms offering local, state, national, and global perspectives, choosing what to view and believe, while redirecting spending and investments away from advertisers supporting these outlets. Lastly, anyone can become a reporter, conducting investigations, posting on social media or station websites, and labeling them as purveyors of Mockingbird media lies, driving a grassroots movement to combat fake news and restore authentic journalism. The Omaha World Herald perpetuates Operation Mockingbird's legacy via media consolidation and centralized editorial dissemination, blending corporate and government narratives into a pervasive print-digital convergence. With templated journalism and orchestrated articles, the publication's hierarchical content mandates erodes local autonomy, reflecting state agendas from COVID-19 misrepresentation to DEI initiatives. The stratified ownership paradigm, guided by investors like BlackRock and Vanguard, enforces syndicated editorial harmony, while church committee parallels underscore this corporate advocacy. Vigorous antitrust actions and ownership disclosure are crucial to liberate the World Herald, reestablishing Nebraska's media as a bastion of truth against the contrived narratives shaping its present, empowered by community action to dismantle this entrenched influence.